This episode is sponsored by the IoT job site, the world's only dedicated space for applying for and advertising IoT vacancies across the world. Register now for job alerts or get in touch via let's talk at theiotjobsite.com.
Welcome to the IoT podcast show. I'm your host, Tom White. I'm excited today to introduce Nordic Semiconductors to the podcast. This is actually our first two-part podcast, where today we'll be joined by Martin Lesund, who is the Technical Marketing Manager at Nordic. For those that aren't aware, Nordic are a leading fabless semiconductor business working in Bluetooth Low Energy, shortwave and long-wave chipsets for the IoT industry. Martin, welcome to the IoT podcast show.
Thank you very much, Tom. It's nice to be here.
It's a pleasure to have you here, especially it's a two-part special that we're doing with Nordic. It's really great to find out a little bit more about the business and looking forward to getting into it. Obviously, I know Nordic Semiconductors. Some people may not know Nordic. Can you just give a brief background into who the company are and your background in particular within the business and IoT?
Yeah, sure. So Nordic Semiconductor is a fabless company. We have mostly been in the short-range area by making system-on chips, for example. So you may know of the nRF91, now nRF51 series and nRF52 series. And now we also have cellular-based chipsets with the nRF91 series. So we have been very popular in the Bluetooth Low Energy space, for example by smartwatches and kind of computer peripherals and all that kind of neat stuff. And now we started off I think in around 1983 by some students, and then we further on we made system on chip approaches and made it more flexible for customers and not just standard ASICs for specific tasks. But that's a little bit about Nordic. We have been big in Bluetooth Low Energy, as I said, and now we're also opening up into the long range by focusing our efforts on cellular. And we think that is a very great technology, especially for the introduction of LTE-M and NB-IoT. So that is something that I got very interested in when I started off at Nordic as an application engineer in the tech support group. I got to work with all of our customers, asking different kinds of questions and with regards to our devices, and I fell in love with our cellular line, the nRF91 series, and I think that technology has a lot of potential, so I just wanted to do all with cellular, and after a while I chose to work as a technical marketing manager instead. So now I am actually focusing on getting feedback from customers with regards to their requirements and what they want to see in our cellular products, and I can help out with steering ahead which way we are going to go with our products, and also like to meet people and get to talk to people, and also do some marketing by sharing our offerings with our customers. So it's been a great.
Excellent. Thank you so much for that introduction, Martin. Yes, I mean the business is really interesting, and something I just want to pick up on there is that you talk about shortwave, BLE, and your interest in cellular. I mean, I myself am using a wearable right now with I think the 51 series Nordic chipset. What is it about long wave for you and cellular that interested you to go more into the position that you are within the business? But can you talk a little bit more about Nordic's vision for cellular IoT and what we can expect to see in the future?
Yeah, so cellular has been from before, it's been a bit complex and difficult to get started for developers. So at Nordic, always one thing has been important for us to make low power devices, and when we had the introduction of the LTE-M and NB-IoT technology, we saw that the opportunity to make low power devices is an is possible. So we have a way to make low power devices. It's important for us, and ease of use. And the last thing is highly integrate the device into small chipsets. So we try for the ease of use kind of strategy is that we make complementary tools. We make software development kits for customers for free. And our development kits are available from different distributors, so they can just buy it from everywhere. Everything is open, so people can just get it and actually start to develop right away. You don't have to do a quota of 1,000 devices before we can send you a development kit or talk to you. And we have also a very open tech support group. We have our own site, the Developer Zone, which is a great forum with many people from our side helping out the communities that have any questions. So that is kind of our vision, to make low power devices, make it easy to use, and also it's highly integrated. So we make the hardware and also we make the software. So everything is under one-stop shop. So it's easy for customers to get help if they have any issues and that kind of stuff as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the benefits of cellular IoT is quite huge, and we've had people previously on the podcast talking about this from other areas. But for coming from Nordic, a fabless semiconductor, directly talking about hardware and the software they're producing is really interesting to see. Just a little bit more detail around the two applications then. So we've got LTE-M and we've got NB-IoT. In terms of the benefits of those protocols, what can the average user expect to see from this? So sort of the man on the street, how is this going to enrich their lives in your view, Martin?
Well, for the average guy in the street, it would make things around him much easier to be connected to the internet, right? Because for cellular technology, you don't need a gateway. For example, from your home, you have your Alexa and everything at your home. It's connected to Wi-Fi, that kind of stuff. You need a gateway in between. But with cellular, you get direct connections. So, for example, you can have smart cities. You have light poles. You have smart bins for the trash that's connected directly to the internet, for example. So, I think we're going to see many strange things, but also awesome products in the future that's connected to the internet via cellular, basically. For example, in 5G that's rolling out now, we have three sectors, right? We have the massive IoT, which is basically LTE-M and NB-IoT, and we also have the the critical. It's called critical, machine type communication, which is ultra reliable, ultra low latency, which would be for cars, for example, that needs low latency. You can have smart cars in our cities with for example, self-driving cars. Who knows if that's going to happen through that technology. And also we have the enhanced mobile broadband for 5G, which is for streaming for 5K and 8K and broadcasting VR, AR, that kind of stuff. But our main focus is for the massive IoT space, which is the LTE-M and NB-IoT, which is all the small devices around the world globally. So, for example, things that you have at your home or things that's out in the streets or out in the nature, for example. So I think everything around us can be connected through the internet in the future.
Yeah. I mean, people talk about everything everywhere being connected and so on and so forth. And I think the benefits of cellular, as you say, is massive to enable all of these different types of devices and so on. So it's really nice to see what Nordic are doing here specifically. I know one of the things that the business is involved with is asset tracking. and something that's really been enabled. Well, the idea was there before, but the technology needed to advance, and cellular IoT is something that's enabled that to really progress and innovate. What would it look like in the future then? So from what we see as asset tracking at the moment to where the vision that Nordic have for what could be possible with cellular IoT?
Yeah, since asset tracking has been around for a while already through the 2G and 3G, for example, but that is not low power, and that is often something that you need in asset tracking application. You want to have a device, for example, a tracker on a postage delivery or whatever, that lasts for years or at least for a very, very long time. And that is now possible through the technology in itself, and that we develop a device that is highly optimized for low power. So that means that you can have a device that's out in the field for 10 to 15 years without changing the battery. And also if you include, for example, energy harvesting on top of your device, for example, to get solar power to charge up the battery, you can have your device out in the field for much longer time, and also you can have it. The possibility is endless when you combine technologies with energy harvesting as well. So, for example, we have Sodak, is a company that does exactly this. They have an asset tracker using solar and also with the cellular technology.
I was just going to say, so Sodak is someone that I know quite well, Jan William and Ollie, right. Very, very interesting business, very good Dutch IoT company for listeners out there that may not know who they are.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I think since devices are getting smaller and smaller, it's getting cheaper and cheaper to get into this. So now it's the perfect time to look at, if you weren't already looking at it, cellular IoT technology and developing this.
Yeah, I think absolutely. You touched on energy harvesting there. So this is something that really kind of opened my eyes, actually. The concept of energy harvesting and how we're going to be able to self-power devices in the future, because that's really a limitation, I suppose, isn't it? One of the last limitations of IoT devices, the fact that the battery power could be good enough for them to last, say, 2-3 years out in the field, but ultimately, sometimes when you install these devices, you kind of can't come back to them, you know? It would be actually unequitable in terms of time where they may be positioned. And one of the concepts of energy harvesting that's likely to come out in a consumer context is remote controls for televisions and for peripheral devices. Very, very likely that most of the OEMs now are going to have those self-powered, right, rather than necessarily needing external power. What's Nordic's view on energy harvesting? You know, do you think this is something that's so far ahead, or are we going to make advancements in some of these devices so that they could be solar powered, or they'll charge in other ways? I'm curious to see the different the ways that we can keep IoT devices powered.
Yeah, so at Nordic we see that energy harvesting is definitely a technology that is future-proof, and we have partnered, for example, with a company called Novi. We have had a partner webinar with them, and they have made an energy harvesting PMIC, power management IC, with, for example, they have combined the nRF9160, our cellular device, together, and also made a development kit to showcase this energy harvesting through solar power. So the technology is already there, and we have already customers looking at this. Sodak, as I mentioned, using solar power to charge up their asset tracking devices, which is also communicating through cellular. But for example, if you see on the short-range devices that we have, Bluetooth Low Energy and that kind of stuff, they use a lot less current consumption than cellular. So that is definitely something that energy harvesting can benefit that you don't need an external source together with, for example, energy harvesting. So you can have, for example, a button that you press that sends a Bluetooth low energy signal, and the only charging the device is getting is through the motion of you just pressing the button. So we have seen customers made devices out of this as well. So it's a great combination with our low power devices.
Yeah, absolutely. And in terms of the business, and this is the chance to really to talk about how Nordic differentiates themselves, but you've always been fairly synonymous with a lot of low-powered BLE type devices. A lot of companies have picked up Nordic chips to run several devices, and kind of the go-to fabless semiconductor in some instances. Well, why is that? You know, what makes you the market leaders in what you're doing? And obviously, I don't expect you to reveal your secret sauce on the podcast, Martin, but surely there are some things that you're doing specifically well that perhaps other businesses could learn from, shall I say?
Yeah, I think our approach of being very open and transparent around things has been very beneficial. For example, we have a software development kit that we just deliver out for free, which is open source, using the Zephyr real-time operating system, for example. So we offer our firmware software for free, as well as we have different complementary tools. We also just made this, I think it was last year, we shipped out this power profiling kit 2, for example, which you can use for every device to measure current consumption in real time. And this is just something that we provide to developers for a very low price to get them started, so they don't need to get expensive equipment. We just want people to get developing with our products quite easily. So it's to get started, to make that leap very short and easy to use. And also, I think another thing that's been highly beneficial for Nordic is that we have our technical support group through the developer zone. So where everyone gets support, even if you are a tier 1 customer or just a TED in the shed, right? So everyone gets support from our engineers. So I think that has been one of the secret ingredients, great tech support. Well, it's not secret, it's just how it is. Yeah, I think that's one important part to make customers get the support that they need.
Yeah, well, I think that's really nice to hear, because traditionally speaking, you know, customers would get a level of support commensurate to how much money that they're spending, right? So tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, and some wouldn't get any support, and would then have to go to various integrators to get that. But you know, by virtue of the fact that you're actually shipping out free boards, to getting people to use your hardware and start developing and working with the open source community, that is a differentiator, right? You've only got to look at, you know, Raspberry Pis and Arduino boards, etc. in the past, that if we are to get people developing and coming up with new concepts and ideas, the barriers to entry to do that has to be low. It has to be inexpensive. And I guess really you're looking for the future talent, right? You know, the future people, you know, the graduates, the people that like to play about with soldering irons and hack stuff up and make stuff work, right? Because that's what's going to increase the use of awareness around Nordic's chips, but also to innovate more ideas. And I mean, would you say that that's one of the ideas behind all of that?
Yeah, exactly. That's I think it's a perfect description of that. We also, for example, have partnered with people to make boards for children. The microbit you probably heard of.
Yeah. Okay.
We just launched a microbit 2 now. So with our new chip on board, so to get people started in a very early age to get used to actually developing and programming. I think that's a nice initiative to kind of get people going. Yeah,
well, 100%. I mean, it's people talk about mathematics and the brain is at its most advanced around 18 to 20 years old when it comes to the processing of algorithms and maths and logic, right? So by starting people doing programming as early as possible, it's surely a good thing, because there isn't preconceived notions, and you grow and as you learn, etc., things get better and better. I mean, it's topical at the moment. When you look at sort of slightly esoteric things like the NFT project that's happening at the moment. There's something that's gone out in the press about this 12-year-old programmer learning Python from scratch and being able to do that. Without these initiatives, it's very, very difficult to enable the next generation of people to continually innovate. So I think that's a great thing that Nordic are doing, and obviously with success.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I think it's a very good initiative.
Yeah, excellent. Well, Martin, it's been fantastic to learn in this part one of this episode with yourself about a little bit more about the initiatives that you've done so far in shortwave and obviously long wave technology and things that are getting you excited about cellular IoT. Thank you ever so much for your time. Where can people find out more about Nordic? Social media, websites, etc. Could you share some of those with us, please?
Yeah, so our webpage is nordicsemi.com. We also have a Facebook page with Nordic Semi, and also Instagram Nordic Semi. And for tweets, Twitter, we have Nordic Tweets, so you can reach us there as well. And also we have LinkedIn, which is Nordic Semi.
Okay, excellent. All right.
Yeah.
Thank you ever so much. Martin, it's been great. Thanks for coming on the IoT podcast.
Thank you, Tom. It's been a pleasure.
And as usual, guys, if you'd like to find out a little bit more about Nordic Semiconductors, do follow the social media sites that Martin mentioned. Get involved in the discussion on LinkedIn, on our website. Everything that we do at the podcast is to enable and foster talk and build the community around IoT. So we really do value any shares or comments or likes that you can give. And until the next time, thank you.